All right, so we concluded, fifth graders, we concluded our multiplication unit with fractions. So we are on our final operation now. We are on division. And today I'm coming to you live on Fluffy Day, all decked out in my fluff. And what better way to get fluffy and cozy than with a nice warm or a nice hot cocoa. So today's word problem of the day is going to go along with hot cocoa. Our essential question of the day is, how can you divide by a fraction? So let's take a look at our word problem. And thank you to Willow for sending in her hot cocoa recipe and photos for our problem solving of the day. So Willow is preparing hot cocoa for a cozy movie night with her friends. She has 8 cups of Swiss Miss cocoa mix. If her recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of cocoa mix per serving, how many servings can she make? All right, so let's dissect this problem a little bit. We know that in total, how much cocoa does Willow have?
8 cups.
She has eight cups of cocoa mix. And how much of a cup does she need per serving?
1/4.
1/4 of a cup. So on your marker boards, on your whiteboards, can you figure out how many cups she can get if each cup needs 1/4 of the cocoa mix? Who can figure that out? How many cups can she get? She wants to see. She's got 8 cups of cocoa mix. How many cups of cocoa can she make if each needs 1/4 cup of mix?
2.
So
1/4 equals 8.
See if you can figure it out. How many cups of cocoa can she get? Please stop calling out. Thank you. All right. I see Julian's got an answer.
Wait, Miss Velez, does this have to be, wait.
I'm giving you an opportunity to solve it however way you feel. See if you can figure it out. She has 8 cups in total. And
we're multiplying, right?
You let me know.
No, we're dividing.
I don't know. You let me know. Figure it out however way you can. She has 8 cups of cocoa mix. And then of that 8 cups, she's putting 1/4 cup in each of her cups of cocoa. So 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here, 1/4 here. How many cups of cocoa will she get? I see some people giving me some answers. I'm loving it. Please stop. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of great answers. And I do see some equations. Did anybody draw out all of the cocoa? Try and make a diagram? No? Okay, so some of you, I'm seeing some interest. Some of you use multiplication, some of you use division. I'm here to tell you that however you got your answer, it's kind of going to be a little bit of both operations. And before you go, huh? I'm going to show you right now. So first of all, before we even look at the fractions, forget the fractions are there. Let's pretend, in fact, that this said 1 instead of a fraction. So Willow has 8 cups. Each cup takes 1. How many will she need? In your head.
8.
She can make 8 cups, right? What operation was used to figure that out?
Multiplication.
Okay, well, I probably shouldn't have used a 1 because that
subtraction.
No. Yeah. Okay, let's mix it up again. She has 8 cups of cocoa mix. Each cup needs 2 cups of cocoa mix. How many cups can she make?
4.
4. What operation did you use?
Division.
Why? Well, you got your starting number. Remember when we were doing our division unit? If they already give you your starting number, it's not going to get, right? We know what we're splitting up. So you have 8 cups of cocoa mix, yes?
Yeah.
And we're splitting it. 1/4 for you, 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 until we run out. Yes? So we're going to have to divide. We're going to have to divide 8 divided by 1/4. Now, if you're dividing into much smaller parts, is your answer going to be bigger or smaller? Think of remember we were doing our
Bigger.
scaling. It's going to be bigger. I had 8 cups and now I'm splitting them into a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter. So I'm going to have a lot more cups of those cocoa, but the cups are going to be smaller, right? Because I'm only giving a quarter to each person. For the
I think I
mix, I still have to add the milk and I still have to add
got
the
it.
marshmallows and all of that good stuff. So I only need a quarter for each cup of cocoa. So we're going to have to divide. And I'm going to show you the method for division.
Divided by 4.
All right. So I do have a fun way to remember, and I hope that Sebastian's not offended that I had to use a chicken reference in here.
No, I am offended. I am offended.
All right.
What is this?
I know. It's just a
What
funny
is
way.
this? My eyes are
I don't
burning.
mind frying up my chicken sola.
All right. Listen, no offense. No
My
offense.
chickens
to
are
this.
offended. How
Shh,
dare you?
okay, we're going to continue. So when we are going to use division with fractions, we actually have to use an inverse. Okay, an inverse operation is an operation that is the opposite. So what is the opposite of division?
Multiplication.
So to find a quotient of a
Subtraction.
whole number divided by a fraction, you're going to multiply the whole number by the reciprocal of the fraction. What's a reciprocal? Well, a reciprocal is when you have a switching of your fractions, numerator and denominator. So the reciprocal of 1/2 would be 2/1. The reciprocal of 2/5 would be 5/2.
5/2.
Okay, so how do you know something's a reciprocal? Let me show you really quickly. When you have a reciprocal, it's what I have called in the past when we did multiplication, a freebie. Watch this. So let's hope there's no glare. We can hope, we can pray, we can wish. Let's hope. All right. So let's say 1/2. A reciprocal means I'm going to switch my numerator and denominator. 2/1. Does everybody see I switched my numerator and my denominator?
Yeah.
When I multiply, they cancel, 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 and I get a whole number 1. Does everybody see that? Or is that a little too glary?
Not really.
Can you see it now? Yes? 1/2 times 2/1. The 2 and the 2 cancels out. The 1 and the 1 cancels out. So you get 1 as your answer. Whenever you have a reciprocal and you multiply 2 reciprocals, you always get 1 as your answer. So if I had 2/3, what's the reciprocal of 2/3?
3/2.
3/2. How do I test that it's a reciprocal? Everything should cancel out. The 3 cancels out with the 3. The 2 cancels out with the 2. And I get an answer that is 1. So reciprocals are when you reverse your fractions numerator and denominator. You know that it's a reciprocal because if you multiply it by your original fraction, your answer will always be 1, and your numerators and denominators will cancel out in your simplification. Does that sound
Yeah.
like we know what a reciprocal is?
Yes, it cancels each other out and the answer will always be 1.
Yeah, we
Okay,
canceled so many chickens.
We did. So going back to our equation, why do we have to use a reciprocal? Because when we multiply by a reciprocal, we're going to need to use this for division. For example, 8 divided by 1/4. When we are using, and I have a fun mnemonic for you to practice this with, but when we are dividing by a fraction of 1/4, does anybody think they know why we might have to use multiplication?
Wait, can you say the question again?
Maybe because you can't do.
No, because you can't divide fractions because fractions are already so
Someone's
They're
getting
already a
warmer.
division problem.
wait. Because they're already a fraction of something, so you cannot divide it.
Yeah.
So basically, when you
Because fractions are
wait,
division.
Miss Velez, can I say something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, when you like divide it, after you switch the numbers, it becomes a multiplication equation
Yes.
because
warmer?
you can't because a fraction is already you can't divide a fraction because it's already a fraction. So
Yeah. So I'm going to show you again why I need to change it to multiplication. So again, look at my board. Hopefully you can see everything. So let's say I had a regular good old-fashioned division problem that I know by heart. And I hope you know this. I know 8 divided by 4 equals
2.
Oh,
Two.
wait.
2. Excuse me. 8 divided by 4 equals 2. We know that by heart. That's something. Now, if I told you, how can I turn that into a multiplication problem? You could use the reciprocal of 4. Watch. Instead of 8 divided by 4, just watch what I do. I'm going to use 8 times 1/4. When I use that reciprocal, watch. Just watch.
Okay.
Ready? 8 times 1/4. I'm going to put my 8 over 1. Yes?
Yes.
Are you with me so far?
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
I get 8 over 4, which is 8 divided by 4. 8 divided by 4, which equals 2. Which equals 2.
That's so cool.
So when
Wait,
I
what?
have, yes, I have to remember that all of my fractions are division. So if I have 8 divided by 4, it's going to be the same equation as 8 times 1/4, because 1/4 means divide by 4.
Whoa.
Whoa. So
Wait,
reciprocals,
Mind blown.
Cool.
yes. So when we use our reciprocal, we can turn a whole number into a fraction, which means we can use the opposite direction. If we have a fraction like 8 divided by 1/4, and I want to switch the problem because I don't know how to do this, I'm going to say 8 times, I'm going to use the reciprocal, 4 over 1. I'm going to put this over 1, and then I just have to do 8 times 4 equals 32. And it's over 1, so that's my answer, 32.
Whoa.
So when I do a division problem, we are not using division when we're working with fractions. We are going to turn every single division problem into a multiplication problem. And we have the ability to do that if we turn our divisor, right, into its reciprocal. And I'll show you a little way to remember that. I use the method KFC.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right. So
Fat in the
KFC stands for 5th graders.
The whole
Besides Kentucky Fried Chicken, it stands for keep, flip, change. Keep, flip, change. So watch.
For some reason,
I
that's
keep-
actually
excuse me?
some KFC motto.
Oh, sure. So, and I try to put a flipping chicken there to go along with it.
That's not very.
So I keep my number that's being divided. My 8 is being divided. So what is that called, the number that's being divided?
The
The food that's
divisor.
being divided.
Dividend.
Dividend.
So I keep my dividend because that's not changing. That's what I'm dividing. I can't change that. That's my starting number. I have that 8 cups of cocoa mix, no matter what. I'm not changing that. That's all I have. Then, so I keep my whole number. I flip my fraction. So here's my fraction, 1/4. Since I want to use my inverse operation of multiplication, I need to switch my 1/4 to its reciprocal of 4/1. That way I can make it a multiplication problem that I can work with. And then last one, change the operation. I was doing division, now I'm doing multiplication. Keep, flip, change. And as you saw from my board, when I had 8 divided by 1/4, I changed it to 8 times 4/1. I put my 8 over 1. Then I multiplied across and I found out that I would be able to make 32 cups of hot cocoa. Now, for those sitting there saying, Ms. Velez, how could you have a bigger number than what you started with because you only had 8? How do you have 32 now? Anybody want to try and answer that for me? How could you possibly have 32 cups if you started with 8? Anybody?
Always get
How
more
can I have
cups in the
32? Doesn't
cabinet.
that seem like a bigger answer?
Oh, yeah, that's because it is.
Someone with their hand up. How could you have 32 if you started out with just 8? Sinjin?
Because you multiplied it, and multiplying is repeated addition. And when you add something, that means it gets bigger.
Well, I didn't multiply it because since I changed a 1/4 to 4/1, it's still the same division problem.
Yeah, but
So
you
why
use multiplication, not division, though.
Right.
You use an operation that gets something bigger.
But they just wanted 8 cups. They didn't
No,
want
they
32.
so Willow had 8 cups to begin with. How does she now have 32?
Miss
Well,
Velez,
Got
can I
it from the
say?
cabinet.
Oh, someone,
Miss Velez,
Lucy?
please.
Well, the 8 cups, and this is 32 of the 1/4 of the 8 cups.
Exactly, because my answer is not asking how many cups of cocoa she has. What did the question ask?
It says
How many cups can she make with 8?
Yeah.
It said, how many servings can she make? So
Even though
each
32
serving
servings.
is only 1/4 cup big. So even though she had 8 cups to begin with, she split it into a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, a quarter. So of course she doesn't have 8 full cups. She has 32 quarter cups of cocoa mix. She has more in terms of servings, but not in terms of cocoa mix. She still has that original 8 cups of cocoa mix. That didn't get any bigger. She just split it into smaller amounts. Does everybody see why 32 would work?
Yeah.
Right? So again, remember, keep, flip, change. Keep, flip, change. We use our reciprocal. And when we use our reciprocal, it allows us to change our problem. Does everybody see how I changed my division to a
Yes.
multiplication problem? I didn't really change it. I switched the numbers around. When I divided by 1/4, it was the same as multiplying by 4. Okay? Because I'm not really making it bigger. I'm just going to have more of that 8 cups split up differently. I'm going to have 32 servings. But all of those servings are going to be way smaller than a cup. They're only going to be a quarter cup each. So I'm going to get a lot more. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
Right? So
Miss
yes, we're
Velez.
using multiplication because when we split something into smaller amounts, we're going to have more of it. Okay? Yes?
Yes.
If I had
Velez.
one sandwich and I divided it into halves, how many halves do I have?
You have 2.
I have 2 halves. So if I started out with 1, how do I have 2 as my answer when I divide it?
Because you split it. So
I
that's-
divided. How do I have
Yeah.
started off with 1 sandwich? I divided it in half. How do I have 2 as an answer? I started off with just 1.
Because the 2 pieces are smaller than
They're smaller. So
1,
you
2
see why I
isn't
need
the
to use
same as 1.
multiplication when I'm when I'm dividing something by fractions? Because when I divide something into fractions, I'm making more of those smaller pieces. So I'm going to have to multiply. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But Miss Celeste, can I
My
say
brain is
something?
blown.
I know. Good.
My brain
Well,
hurts.
hopefully.
Why do you want our brains, our little?
Well, you know how muscles form?
I'm too young
By
to know.
working them.
How do muscles form? Actually, muscles, you build muscle mass because your muscles tear. There are
Going to
people
the
that,
gym.
yeah, when you work out,
Like
when
Ben
you work out really, really
Roethlisberger.
hard, your muscles
Mhm.
tear. And as the muscles tear and they heal stronger and thicker. And that's how people get muscles. So guess what? If your brain is hurting and your brain is exercising, your brain is getting stronger because your brain is a muscle. So let's continue. Your brain is a muscle. Excuse me. Your brain is a muscle. You must exercise it just like every other part of your body. All right. So let's strengthen our brain muscles and let's turn to page 294. 294. Is everybody with me? Yeah. We're going to continue with division. And
Thank you for
let's take a look at those first 2 questions with our pictures. So it says, how many 1/3 are in 3? So I have, how many 1/3 are in 3? How do I figure that out? Well, what is my starting number? I have 3 to begin with, and I'm figuring out if I divide it into thirds, how many 1/3 can I get? All right. Let's remember KFC. Keep, flip,
I know what it is.
change. Keep the 3. What are we flipping?
The fraction.
1/3.
Flip your fraction to its, what's that word called?
3 ones. Reciprocal.
Reciprocal. So what does it become? What's the reciprocal of 1/3?
Reciprocal of 1/3
over 1.
is 3 over 1.
And change your operation.
Multiplication.
Oh, this should be easy because whenever I have a whole number, I put it over
1.
1. Guess what? I'm going to get a whole number as an answer.
9.
3 times 3 equals
3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12.
9.
Shh.
This is
9. Do I need to even write 1 times 1?
No.
No, because I'm going to
You
do
already
9
know
over
it's
1,
gonna
which
be
is 9. So my answer is
Miss Phyllis, stop
9.
torturing us.
Nine.
Too easy.
All right, all right.
Stop
All right.
not torturing
Easy,
us.
It's not torture. If you know how to
I
multiply,
just said
Listen,
don't stop torturing
if you know
us.
how to multiply
Don't stop
fractions,
torturing
you
us.
know how to
too
divide
easy.
fractions. All right.
I'm being tortured by too easiness. This
How
is not
many
possible for
2/3
me.
are in 6?
I don't
So I
know.
have 6 as my starting number, and I'm splitting it into 2/3. Let's use our KFC. I cannot work with division.
Wait, what?
Why? Because look how silly this would be.
Miss Phyllis.
Listen, fractions are division problems. So you're saying 6 divided by 2/3.
Then drop
What?
it down and then make it
Miss Phyllis.
6 times 3.
I cannot hear you. Are you muted?
No, you're
I'm
not. You're not muted.
No, but everyone
You
else
just
should
stop
be.
talking.
Okay.
You
Can
can't
you
hear us.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
If
Can
don't
you hear
say it,
us?
You can't.
Can you hear me?
You can't.
You can't?
You can't.
Maybe chat him.
I'll try.
No, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes,
I just need to know if it's overall that people can't
We
hear
can
me.
hear you
No, we can
fine.
hear you. That's why
We can
said
hear you. I think it's just Sebi who can't.
We
Okay.
can hear him and we
All
can
right.
hear you, but he can't hear us.
All right, hopefully he'll leave and come back and we can try this again. So if I said 6 divided by 2/3, I'm really saying 6 divided by 2 divided by 3. I'm not going to do all that double division. I'm going to use my inverse operation and switch my fraction up. So keep my dividend, flip my fraction to its, what's the word again?
Reciprocal.
Improper fraction.
And change
The
my
operation.
operation. All right.
Oh, also you put you put 6 over 1.
Yes, now that I'm ready to solve, I'm going to put my whole number over 1 and solve. Does anybody see anything that can simplify?
6 and
Yes.
3.
Yeah. Oh, no, 6 and 3 are both numerators.
No.
6 and 2.
6 and 2, what can it be simplified by?
By
What?
2.
Divide by 2.
By 2.
Divide by 2. I get
3
3
and 1.
3 over 1.
I'm going to cross this out because I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, it's 9.
I'm done with you. And now 3 times 3 equals
9.
9.
1 times 1 equals 1. We don't need to write that because it's pointless.
All right.
We did it, everybody.
This is not pointless. Actually, this is my favorite operation.
8 divided by 1/4. Let's use our KFC.
Reciprocal.
I really wanted, and I wish I had it, I wanted like the Colonel mustache and the white goatee from the KFC commercials, but don't have it. I have to make one.
We already did this.
All right. Oh,
Ask your
our
husband
other
to,
problem was just like,
Yeah, but that's our first
Drive
problem.
your husband into like growing his like mustache.
Why are we doing it
really
again?
long and then
Why are we
dyeing it.
Everybody here who was talking is a boy.
I'm okay.
Okay.
All
Just
right.
take away his like shaving utensils.
We did that. We did 8 divided by 1/4 when we did the hot cocoa. So let's try this out. Remember, keep,
This is
Flip.
too easy.
Whole number. Flip your
flip,
operation.
change. The 2 is a whole number, so I put it over a 1. And oh my gosh, how easy is that? 2 times 8 equals
16.
16.
And we don't have to multiply to 1 into 1.
What are you noticing about all of these easy
They're
ones?
very
we're
It's
getting?
easy. It is too easy.
They're
What are
very
you
always
noticing about
one.
all the answers,
There's
though?
1.
They're all whole
They're
numbers.
whole numbers. They're all whole numbers.
Yes.
Whole numbers.
All right. Let's see.
Wait, so do we like ignore the bottom numbers?
These are pretty easy, right? Let's try one more. 6 divided by 3/4. Use your trick. We don't want double division here, so we're going to make it into a multiplication problem. Keep
Your whole
your
number.
dividend, flip
Your
your
fraction.
fraction,
Action.
and change
your
your
operation.
Yeah,
6 is a whole number. Put it over 1. Anything that can be simplified here?
Yes.
Yes.
6 and
6 and 3, what it can be
3
simplified
times.
by?
3 times.
Divided by 3.
Divide by 3 equals 2. Divide by 3 divide by 3
Wait, no.
equals 1.
That's one.
And divide
The
by
We
other
can
three
also
equals
divide
two.
4 and
2.
4.
Whole number.
8.
There's no other 4.
There's no
8.
The 2 and the 4.
Two- No,
Those
they're
are
both
numerators.
numerators.
Oh, yeah,
Only
yeah,
numerators
yeah,
and denominators.
yeah,
Yeah.
And you just multiply across, though. You're done.
and
2
4,
times
1
4
and 10
equals.
8.
8. And the answer's 8.
That's it. Easy
Yep, it's
peasy.
really easy.
Easy peasy lemon
Lemon cheesy.
Easy
Wait,
peasy,
what did you just say? Did you
What?
say?
You say lemon cheesy?
cheesy, lemon
Lemon
squeezy, and
No,
other.
I said lemon squeeze.
I
Easy
heard
peasy.
Lemon
cheesy.
cheesy.
All
I like
right.
cheesy.
So, are there any questions about that? Do you guys see why you need to use multiplication?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're using multiplication because when
No.
you split
Yeah.
something, please listen. When you split something by a fraction, you're going to make it all the pieces you're splitting it into smaller, which means that you're actually multiplying the amount you have, but you have to realize that each part is significantly smaller. So I started like with the hot cocoa, I started off with 8 cups of cocoa, but each serving that I was giving to my friends, or I should say Willow was giving to her friends, they were only getting a quarter cup each. So you're going to have a lot more cups if you're only giving everybody a quarter each. So you're actually going to be multiplying your amount, but making it smaller. As I've told you before, Jesus was really good at this. He started off with a few loaves of bread and fish, and he split it, and like, oh my gosh, he was able to feed everyone.
X-ray.
Oh, what did he do? He divided by
X-ray.
fractions. I like to think that Jesus was the greatest mathematician in that example there, because he just divided by fractions, and everyone else is like, how did you do that? It must be a miracle. Yes, it was.
Never tell their
Math was the
secrets.
miracle, and he
No.
was able to split by fractions and split those loaves.
was
But that's the greatest
All right.
mathematician because he built the world.